Hello and welcome back to Anti-Depressing. This is the show where we talk about everything from liturgy
to Lexapro. We're back.
We are back, baby.
Woo-hoo.
You know that reel? It's like from The Hangover where it's like, we are back.
Yeah, we are back. Absolutely.
That's how I feel today.
We missed
2
y'all.
weeks off.
2 weeks off.
Crazy. Mainly because we were processing the Jonas Brothers concert, which
true.
we're so excited to process with you.
Yeah.
Chanel's wearing her shirt. I didn't even notice. That's perfect.
Jonas Brothers. This shirt was $50.
That is
Isn't
so
that
gross.
crazy? It's so gross because it's not even the right size. Like
no, and it's not even
I can't return it,
so
and it's
thin.
not. It's so thin. But honestly,
But you should have that forever.
and I tried.
It's
I asked my mom if she could wash it and then like put it in the dryer to shrink it.
Shrink it.
It like doesn't even shrink. I don't even know what it's made
cute
out of.
oversized vibe though.
Thanks.
I feel like it's cute.
So
Pair
we'll
that
be
with some
wearing
jeans.
this. Jonas Brothers, you owe me $50, but happy to talk about this concert.
Happy to be
Got
here.
other people to go.
Before we jump into that, you want to do anti-depressing news, or do you want to talk about how you've been? How are you?
You know what? I think it would be great to
Do you
talk
need a
about how
moment?
we've both
Yeah.
been.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first, I'm way better today because Jasmine brought homemade caramel to our home.
What a moment.
So as most of you know, if you don't, Jasmine is not only a working wife and mom, but also a homemaker. And also just
And
everything
make that
to
home.
everyone. Yeah. So she made
my
homemade caramel, and it is so freaking good. I had like 2 spoonfuls before we walked into this, into our home studio, which is probably why I'm like sweating, and I'm probably gonna grab my water when you start talking. But
yeah, that's fair.
but it was so good, and I'm excited to eat the rest of it. Other than that, just been working and just like trying to survive every week. I'm like, great, this is a chill week, and then
It's not.
But you know what? That's okay.
It is okay.
It's
The
okay.
real reason we haven't recorded for 2 weeks, which will lean into
That part.
how we
Yep.
both are too, is we both have had just like the worst colds.
That
Just
part.
so annoying. I shouldn't say the worst, but not fun colds. And inconveniently, both of us like came down with them on Tuesdays, which is our recording day. And both of us had like no voices
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And so that was a bummer, but we're back and I'm still
We're back.
congested. I think I'll be congested for the rest of my life.
Mine just went away like 3 days ago.
I mean,
so
what was
it
that, 3 weeks?
Yeah, so you'll probably just still be.
Isn't that, when you get sick, am I just like that? Is this everybody? When I get sick, I'm convinced that like I'll never breathe again. Like
Oh, yeah.
I'll never breathe
'Cause-
without being
Yeah,
congested.
every breath, especially when if I'm sick, if I get a sore throat,
Oh,
like every gulp,
I
remember when I used to gulp without the
I
pain,
know.
and then
And
I'm
immediately
like,
I'm like, I took life for granted.
dang, yeah,
Like an hour ago when I felt fine, I took it for granted.
I should have realized. If I realized my last gulp would be my last gulp, I would
know.
have gulped more.
I
But
would have
yeah.
gulped harder.
So, yeah.
Here's my message to future Jasmine. When you're not congested, just breathe. Just breathe all the time.
Breathe it in.
Appreciate it.
Hmm.
Because,
You never know when you could not breathe,
yeah, you
Again,
don't know what you got
like
till it's gone, you guys.
death or a cold. So
Equal
knows?
playing field.
Equal playing field. So for me, I'm working a lot. I'm a busy working lady. I'm paying $50 for Jonas Brothers merch. How are you, Jasmine? I'm eating your homemade caramel. How are you?
Yeah, that was a really good recap.
Mhm.
I'm making homemade caramel.
Yum.
I'm in this big, like, I can make that myself era. And I don't know if it's like necessarily a good thing or not entirely.
It depends on who you ask. If you ask
me,
I'm like,
It's
every
great.
time I see something, I'm like, you know what you should learn how to make?
It's
this.
so true.
So it's good for me.
And I am doing it.
Mhm.
It is like very sporadic. Like it'll be about to be dinner time and I'm like, wait a second. What if I learned how to make homemade biscuits real quick? And my husband's like, what is happening right now? But I did it and it's been great. And so it's been fun. It's been a fun outlet to have something. I don't know. I like baking. I like cooking. I enjoy that kind of
You are
stuff.
good
And so
at
it's
it.
been a good hobby. I'm in my hobby era.
There it is.
My kids are old enough now that I don't have a baby. And
Mm.
so I feel like a little bit of myself is coming back where I'm like, oh, what do I like to do?
Mm.
And so I'm in my hobby area. era. I've been doing puzzles. I am baking now. I'm in it. I'm leaning into this hobby journey, as they say.
Lean in, baby. And hobbies are so fun because
They
you just
are.
feel like you're just, I don't know. It's like you walk into Hobby Lobby or Michael's or
Ooh,
whatever, and you're just like, get chills. You're like,
chills.
well, what do I want to spend money on today?
Hobby Lobby
Do
calls
I
to
want to
me.
learn how
Yeah.
to watercolor? Do I want to learn how to like
Yeah.
knit? Do I want to learn how to punch needle? Do I want to learn how to like
hmm
make fondant? Who knows?
The world is truly
The
your
world
oyster.
is our oyster.
So if you don't have a hobby,
this might just be
you
your,
could.
yeah, this
You
might be
could.
it.
And if you don't have the emotional capacity to have a hobby, someday you might. And so don't feel bad. For years and years, people be like, what's your hobby? And I'll be like staring at a wall and falling asleep after my kids go to bed. And now I have some little hobbies. So
There it
it could
is.
happen.
There it
You
is.
too could have a hobby someday.
You too. So, Jasmine,
What do you got?
I'm really excited for our anti-depressing Catholic news.
Do you want me to
Cool
tell you?
Catholic news, because I don't even know what it is. So
I know,
I'm very
surprise.
excited for it.
This is a very
Could you
fun
roll us
episode.
into our cool Catholic news for today?
I would absolutely be honored. This was sent to us by one of our Insta followers, a listener, and she shared a news story that in Detroit, there is a clinic that opened for women and families to care for the whole person, a Catholic clinic, which we're so here for. And they said that it's called the Heart of Christ Medical Clinic, and it will serve pregnant mothers, individuals, and families of all socioeconomic backgrounds, insured or uninsured, with high quality care for the whole person, physical, emotional, and spiritual. And they're going to have a chapel at the clinic where patients can pray and receive the sacraments.
Whoa. Okay.
I know this is your first time hearing this. Tell me your
I mean, that
thoughts.
sounds really cool. I'm like, should I move to Detroit? It reminds
Is
me
it
of.
worth it?
I know. It reminds me of where I used to live in Denver. I used to go to this women's clinic called Bella, and they had a chapel in there, and it was just the coolest thing. It was my GYN,
That's so
and
nice.
normalized talking about GYNs, and normalized, and so
Everything must be normalized.
So it was my GYN, and it was awesome because I would walk in there, and it's not like exciting to get a pap smear. That's not like something you're like, yeah. And so walked in, and I was not pumped, but then they had a chapel in there, and I would go and pray, and I was like, this is really cool that something like this exists. And they had some relics of some really cool saints.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I think that's really cool to provide something like that for women, and especially to focus on the whole person, because I think too
really
much times we've kind of veered away from our holistic perspective of personhood when it comes to medicine, and when it comes to like the treatment of people. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so
gonna be
true.
really cool.
Yeah, I like this idea too that like when we're in Louisiana, I went to a clinic that was a Catholic doctors, like two Catholic doctors that started this clinic. And it was really awesome to be like surrounded by that. And like Stephen and I do NFP, and our doctor just like knew how all of it worked, and it was so convenient.
You were like,
because
"Thank God."
Otherwise it's like I grind to try to explain it.
that. Yeah.
And it's just like hard, but I could just be like, oh, here's my chart. And my doctor like knew exactly what was going on with me,
Nice.
which was really cool. And I love that. But something I would have loved is if once I had my baby, like the baby could have been seen by a doctor there as well. And you could kind of like stay in this community that already got to know you. And so I love that they're doing that it's like once you're part of it, like your whole family can be part of it. That's really cool.
Look at
I love
that. The whole person can be treated.
Who would
the
have
whole
thought?
family can be treated. Who would have thought?
Who would have literally
Catholics
thought?
love families, and Catholics love women outside of their pregnancies, outside
Crazy,
of
right?
their problems. Like we are
love
there
to see that in practice.
And this is an opportunity for other Catholic clinicians that are listening, for Catholics and non-Catholics alike that are like, hey, you guys don't really care about women. You just kind of care about babies, right? Harsh criticism there. But sometimes true in the way that it's perceived or just even practiced. This is an opportunity for you to look into some of these clinics. Look into how can you serve your community in a more holistic way? How can we serve mothers, women, babies, fathers and be present to them as
Yeah.
families, so then we can uplift families to be, not just productive members of society, but healthy, well-rounded members of society. So,
Absolutely. And if you're a
inspiration.
Catholic doctor listening to this, like, just know that everyone has a desire for this.
Yeah.
Like, the person
Everybody
who
wants
was
it.
like, would this be great if we had this in Central Florida? Like, yeah,
Everybody
it would.
wants
Like,
it.
everybody wants this. So, so that's your business
Catholic
model.
doctors.
You're welcome.
And we get a
us up.
cut
Oh, absolutely.
because we said it on this show and you heard it from this show.
So you're welcome. We know there are a lot of doctors listening.
Yeah.
I'm
so we
sure.
get a cut.
And also, if you're a man and you're single, Chenele is interested.
Whoa. We'll talk about that a little later on in the episode.
You get way more than 20% if you were married.
Whoa.
Anyways, Jonas.
We'll talk about that more. I mean, in the
actually,
episode,
right now,
like children of
I think
divorce.
we can do it.
So let's roll into our episode. We missed you guys so much, and we're so excited to talk about.
We have so much to share.
What we've been up to, and just roll back into our schmegular content. So here we go. Okay.
No.
Damn it. Oh, sorry. Cut that out. Cut that out. Okay.
You're not seasoned. We don't know any of our buttons anymore. Hey!
All right. Well, here we are in Anti-Depressing. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to us.
I know, back in the saddle.
Back in our home studio. We are so excited to be back and to be talking to y'all. So our topic today is not children of the corn because it's spooky season, but we're children
something
of
spooky.
Divorce. Spooky. Much respect to children of divorce, but that is our topic today. Essentially. So first topic is,
can we go light first?
Yeah. First topic is we went to an amazing entertainment, amazing, it was spiritual, enlightening, levitating. You want me, I want you, baby. It was crazy. We were up in the sky. It was nuts.
We were kind of up in the sky.
3 hours of raw entertainment from the Jonas Brothers.
Ooh.
We went to their concert. As someone that is in her 30s, it was the longest concert of my life. It was very long, but it was so fun. And we're just going to talk about it a little bit. So
sure.
I'm going to give, well, you know what? All of our listeners love not just the Jonas Brothers, if you're not a fan, but love our commentary on music and arts. But just in case you don't appreciate art commentary in this niche kind of not popular artist of the Jonas Brothers, you can skip ahead 5 minutes and then we'll talk about something else. So just a precursor.
Except don't,
but
because I don't think we're it's not just going to be Jonas specific.
That is true.
You should listen.
Okay, I was trying to give.
Don't skip.
Don't
give them an out.
Okay, I'm not going to give you an out. Okay, thank you. So
stay.
This
is worth listening to.
There it is. So the Jonas Brothers concert was awesome. We started the day with just being excited about it. I'm going to start you guys from there.
Just
so we were
time.
Excited about it, right? And of course, it was on a Friday, so we had to work. So we were working, but it's cool because pumped. Then we get to the concert. So we are driving to the concert. Jasmine's wearing an oversized blazer. So cute. Julianne is wearing a shirt with a line from a Taylor Swift song that I cannot recall right now.
So dignified in your well-pressed suit.
And it was the 3 Jonas Brothers in
their suits from when they were 15.
Loved it. I was wearing a red tank top and red skirt set. So red dress
moment.
So we were just ripping and
we were ready
to go. As I was excited, I picked the girls up. We were going to drive to the concert hall together. I bought some Asian dumplings from a restaurant, as you do, to eat on the go. And I was eating them as I was driving 70 miles an hour on the way to their house on the highway. Spilled soy sauce all over the floor. So my car smelled like soy sauce, which in any other scenario would be great, minus being on an hour-long drive to a concert hall. So we took a pit stop to the store to clean up the soy sauce, and
It
then
got cleaned.
we were rolling again. So we
Okay, bring me to the concert.
so we got in the car and then we were listening to a playlist and we pumped ourselves up. We listened to all the good Jonas smash hits.
We listened to Jonas Brothers and we listened to Taylor Swift songs about Joe Jonas.
Yes, so important.
We had to get ourselves in the right headspace.
Yes, because I had never heard the song, is it Poison Ivy?
Yes.
Okay, I had never heard that song before. And it was great because later on, they played a song that Jasmine had said that they had referenced.
Yes.
And it was like, I felt the connection there. So
yeah, I was telling her about, like, in one of their songs, Joe Jonas says, all the tears on her guitar, I'm not bitter.
Ooh.
Because he wrote that line about Taylor Swift because she had written teardrops on my guitar about him. And then they wrote Poison Ivy about Taylor Swift. And then on Reputation, in the song Don't Blame Me, she says, I once was Poison Ivy, but now I'm your Daisy, talking about how Joe Jonas called her Poison Ivy.
So it was pretty crazy. So connections.
So I had to catch them up. They had to be ready.
So I was grateful for that time in the car.
Of
really
course.
I got caught up. So we got to the concert hall. We're excited. The energy is electric. All these ladies just waiting. Husbands willingly going, wearing ironic t-shirts that are saying like, this is, this is what a man gotta do.
Like, that was
just like just there with their wives and girlfriends just showing up. So we get to the concert hall. Food expensive, drinks outrageous, but we are still excited.
But
we're
so
ready
good.
to go. So good. We are walking floor to floor to floor, just checking the vibe out, taking pictures. It's awesome. Then we talk about what is the opening song going to be. I don't know.
What was Chenele's guess?
My guess was they're going to start with Wings, right?
What did they start with?
Wings. So for those that are listening, if you haven't heard Wings, I think it's like one of the best songs on that new album. So,
and it's the perfect opening.
It is.
It's perfect.
Yeah. So like
they knew what they were
and it's
doing.
like, you are the one who sun the light of day. And then it's like, yeah, and it's so good. It's like, yeah, and so then we're walking around and we're like, okay, the concert's gonna start now. And Jasmine's like, wait a minute. And she hears, you are, or whatever, but like a full band is playing it.
Yeah.
And we're like, what? So then we run to our seats and they come out of the floor like mist light. 3 smoky, ethereal beings come out of the floor. It is crazy. Like,
it's crazy.
The screaming, the like the vibe in the air. Everyone is just so excited. It's nuts. So from then on, I knew I wasn't sitting down again. So
except I
did because I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So they start. Nick is like, man, we are going to play every song from every album. And you guys are in for a ride. And they did. And then we just kept on singing and dancing. But what were some of your observations from the concert?
Yeah.
Once it started?
Honestly, here was my perspective. Because first of all, in like the modern era of music technology, it's really easy for an artist to just like get up and like play with a bunch of backing tracks and not have live instruments. And so I was shook that they had like so many musicians and so many incredibly talented musicians, all of their background singers there, like no backing track harmonies, like they were there. They have like a saxophonist, somebody playing they had like trumpet, somebody playing trumpet, like very random instruments outside of like the basic like, oh, this is whatever. And obviously like we saw the Jonas Brothers when we were very young and they had like a band with them, but it was mainly like showy, we're doing flips, we're doing whatever, and like the music was kind of happening too. But I was so impressed by what a like musically impressive experience it was.
The music was music and the mic was on.
Yeah.
Like,
they did not take any breaks. It was like, they must be so tired. And that's how the experience of going to a concert when you're older is so funny because the whole time we were like, they must be so tired. Like, don't they need a break? And when they took like their little intermission, everybody around us was like, oh, thank God they need to sit. Like, they must be so tired.
It's a lot. It was like a 10-minute
Yes.
intermission, and we were all like, oof.
Yeah, and the vibe was very like ladies in their later 20s, early 30s who would just kind of be like, oh, I don't really know this song this much. I'm going to like sit and chat and whatever. And we're going to like talk about the show. And then we're up, we're dancing, we're jumping, we're like headbanging, we're into it. Right. And it was such a communal experience. And I was listening to the Liturgy Resources podcast. And in their first episode, they were talking about liturgical music and how it's so transcendent because it's communal. And so there's a group of people all like singing the same thing, doing the same thing, and that can be extremely transcendent. And our friend Eric on the podcast was talking about the Eras tour. It was like that like looks like from the videos, like the experience of like tens of thousands of people singing the same thing at the same time, like all feeling so deeply, and how that is like transcendent. And that reminded me so much of being at the Jonas Brothers concert, because it's just a community of women who grew up listening to these songs, who are getting the chance to like just like sing and be silly and be fun and like act like we're young again.
Yeah.
And kind of get back in touch with that feeling. And nobody's like shaming anybody for it. Everybody's excited. Everybody's like, yes, girl. Like there's this moment where, was it like Love Bug? I don't know. Or Hello Beautiful.
I think it was Hello Beautiful.
Yeah,
and they were like,
Hello Beautiful came on and it was so slow.
But wait, it was literally the first like strum. Like it was
it was like
boom,
and then Juliana, my sister, was like at the top of her lungs,
dude.
And it was like quiet, slow song. And the girls in front of us like turned around. And Jelena was like, no, I'm so sorry for screaming in your ear, because they were sitting and she like leaned down and screamed. And they were like, no, we get it. This is everything. Like, we're so excited that they're playing this. And so just like the no shaming anybody. Like, we are all here to be excited. And I felt that especially, like, I loved all the songs. But if I can share my favorite musical song moment, which is not what I thought. I thought Fly With Me would be my favorite, which
was a good one.
Cannot regret. I was everything. I love that song. I love that song. But so shocking, out of left field, Love Bug was crazy. Like everybody was screaming it and like just like absolutely getting it to Love Bug. And I was like, yeah, honestly, this song gets it. So people were just so into it, and it was so beautiful just to have everybody like screaming lyrics. And then surprise moment of the show, they played 2 songs from Camp Rock.
Oh my god, hive mind.
Oh
because
my gosh,
I was just looking up the words.
Oh my gosh, they played the song that Joe Jonas and Demi Lovato sang.
That was crazy.
Is it actually at the band jam? No, it's not. It's whatever. The like final
at the final jam.
Yeah.
So.
And it was incredible. Everybody was so excited. And then they played
Introducing Me. Oh, my stomach hurts thinking about
Jonas or Nick Jonas, like,
he sat down
back in his like 15-year-old era,
and he was like, I eat cheese but only on pizza, please, and sometimes on a homemade quesadilla, otherwise it smells like feet to me. And we were all like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, everyone
crazy,
was screaming.
dude. Like,
it was amazing.
They played so many good songs, and like then Nick like came out when Nick was like in his sexy era. What was that?
When he did the backwards hat and played,
and then he played Chains, and he played that other song.
Oh, Miracle. Supernatural. Miracle.
And he played and then he played
everybody was like,
and then he played Chains, and he played Jealous, and that and he was like, it's my right to be hellish, and we were like, whoa,
I know, everybody was like,
spicy.
What is that?
So he was in his spicy era, so it was pretty nuts.
Yeah, him and Joe both had like a spicier moment. The thing I love about Kevin Jonas is like, he's just there to do his job.
Yeah,
I was telling my husband, I was like, he's just a musician. He is there to get that coin. He is there to provide for his family. He's there to flirt with his wife a little, and then he's going off stage. And like, that is what he does. And I adore
Love
it.
it. He spoke one time during the 3-hour-long concert,
and
he
it was
like,
about his wife.
he was like, I met my wife on a beach 19 years ago
He was
during
like,
vacation.
She's right there now.
And she's right there, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Bling! And we were all like, yeah!
And we were like, okay,
Meanwhile,
let's do
Nick
it.
was like, you guys wanna hear a song that's gonna just make you just levitate? And we were like, what? And Joe was like, you guys want to talk about what kind of cake, something, this words of this song you probably forgot. Oh my gosh. It was
crazy.
It was
crazy. Remember, I kind of blocked this out until I was thinking about it on the way here. There was a gender reveal at the
there
concert.
was a gender reveal.
Yeah,
so this woman was like holding her baby, like a toddler, a little older.
Yeah.
And she was like,
I'm pregnant.
Joe was like, are you sure you want me to do this? And she was like, yeah. And then he played
Little Bird. And then at the end of the song, he was like, congratulations, it's a little girl.
Yeah. And
we
Little
were
Bird,
not okay.
shout out to that song, because that song's sad.
Emotional.
And then we
Very
all
emotional.
started looking up pictures I looked up pictures of my nephew. Jasmine pulled up pictures of her kids. And we were all just looking
getting
at them.
very
like,
emotional.
They're so little and like love and just small.
It was really sweet.
But it was really sweet. And then Joe sang a song that real Jonas fans know called Hesitate. And he wrote this song on the way to visit Sophie Turner when they were like dating. And it's called Hesitate. And it was just like the saddest thing ever. And something about being older is just like your perception is heightened.
Yes.
So you just like obviously aware of the fact that they filed for divorce and they're like getting divorced, which is nothing to laugh about. Very sad for everyone involved. And it was just like such a bummer to see this person who's a person like singing about this song that's like beautiful and just like thinking about that there's like kids and a person else that's like in a relationship that's not going to exist anymore. It was just like so sad.
It really was so sad. And during that song, and what's the other song on that album? Walls. Which if you don't know that song, it's like, if you ever leave, even the walls would cry.
If you ever leave me, I would die.
Yeah. And
it was a bummer.
Really sad. During that song, and Hesitate, the lights were like pretty much out and there was no spotlight on them. And even like the cameras, like you couldn't actually see their faces, which I think is intentional, obviously, because Joe is going through something so heavy and so public. And we were talking about pretty much the rest of the weekend, like the reality of like going through a divorce is so traumatic. Having your marriage ending while you have 2 young children, but then having to go on tour and almost every night be singing love songs that you wrote about your significant other. It has to be so emotionally confusing because on one hand, you're like, oh, well, do I still feel this way? Do I not feel this way? What's happening with us? Is this still like worth fighting for? And I'm sure there's some of that still going on throughout the divorce process. But then you're having to do it publicly and like everybody knows. And Chenele and I have like hesitated to talk about their divorce on the show because both of us are children of divorce and we know how hard it is to like be those kids. And I think there's like this big tendency to do the like, I'm Team Joe, I'm Team Sophie. And essentially, like, if you don't know what like parental isolation or like parental alienation is, it's essentially where like when you're going through a divorce or a separation, one parent tries to like get the kids on their side by talking bad about the other parent. And pretty much that's what happens with celebrities, but like they're trying to get their fans on their side. So they're trying to get an entire like population on their side by kind of like making digs at the other person, which we've already seen amidst their divorce. And it's just so horrible to see that so public when you know that their daughters are going to grow up and be able to just like Google and learn everything and then learn about like, oh, who was on my mom's team? Who was on my dad's team? And that's like so damaging to little people who should just be able to be like, oh, my mom and dad are on the same team and they are on our team, you know, and they like love us. And
that's it.
So I think that's been complicated. But after going to the concert, we were just discussing how wild it is that we all have to keep like living our life and doing our jobs and showing up even when we're going through something traumatic. And that's the crazy thing about being an adult. It's like no matter what is happening in your life, no matter what you're mourning, no matter what you're processing, you still have to keep showing up. And showing up for me to my job, or for you to your job, is like, oh, I can like talk to my boss and we can have a conversation. But showing up when you're like, and now there's 10,000 people in front of me and I'm going to sing these love songs and I'm going to perform, and people expect me to like perform at this level and like put everything aside, is so heavy. And it was, yeah, I don't know. It was very moving to see him clearly so emotional, like before and after playing those songs, like his mood just kind of like after playing those. And then he eventually came back up, but we were all like, I get it, like process.
That's like
take
sad.
your time.
What is this like? I mean, obviously, like divorces are a process, right? So it's, I mean, prayerfully, hopefully, you don't wake up one day and just like divorce. So that's something they've probably been thinking about for a while. But it's like, if I were to speculate, but it's just so sad. So that was just so interesting. And it really was something that we thought about as we segued into the next part of our weekend. So, you know,
we said, our weekend heavy on the divorce.
It was heavy on the divorce.
Where'd we go next, Chenele?
So we went to a retreat for children of divorce, adult children of divorce.
ACODs.
ACODs. That's us. That's who I am now.
That's how I identify. I'm getting a tattoo.
I'm getting a tattoo on my chest. So that
should be our matching tattoo. ACOD.
Tell your husband. Ask your husband and see what he says. But
yeah, I don't think that should be like our identity we cling to, but it is a fun idea.
It is something to be. But yeah, so then we went to the concert. It was awesome. Afterwards, we raged. Like, you guys, it was crazy.
It was crazy.
If you
we
know
got home
us,
at like 2 a.m.
If you know us, you guys, you know that we are people that value being horizontal. Like,
love it.
And if we're vertical, we're with each other. We're doing something vertical together. And it's like, and it's an event. It's like something that we're doing. Like, we're going to Magic Kingdom.
It's not
we're
just
going.
'cause.
It's not just like cuz. Because if we can just hang out with each other in a group and just like not just be in our own homes, we'll do that. So we were out till like 2. It took us an hour and a half to get out of the parking garage after the concert. It was so crazy.
People were getting crazy.
It was nuts. So we went home, woke up the next morning, got home at like 2, or went to bed at 2, woke up at like 6 o'clock, drove an hour to go to this retreat for adult children of divorce.
Yes.
Put on by Life Giving Wounds, some of our friends. They're an awesome ministry. And they put on this retreat for adult children of divorce to help process parental divorce, separation, or annulment. And it was just like the coolest experience. And me
really was.
Going into it with having like 2 of my like dear friends come with me was like the coolest. Because it was definitely something where if I went by myself, I think the results would have been different, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
I maybe would have, like, you challenged me at a certain point to actually like pray and sit by myself, and I was like, oh, because there was like a lot. It was a wonderful retreat, but at some points, it was a wonderful retreat, period. And there were a lot of points that were just so intense, that I was like, gosh, I don't know. So, but that's what we did. So bring us there. We got to St. Augustine.
So we got to St. Augustine, and obviously, like, we didn't fully know what to expect. Chenele has like spoken to the people who run it before, so she had kind of an idea of their mission. But it was really powerful, honestly. And one of the things that we found most powerful from it, or at least I did, was that there was a big age range of people who were at the retreat. And so my sister was there and she just turned 25, but then there were people all the way up to like in their 60s at this retreat, having the opportunity, some people for the first time in their life, to process their parents' divorce. And for us 3, like, we've all been very blessed to like know that this is something we need to process, probably partly because of the generation we're in, and to have sought therapy for it. But for some other people, like, that wasn't something that was talked about, something that was encouraged. And so it was really cool to see people kind of taking this opportunity to start working through some of the effects of their parents' divorce, even when you thought maybe there weren't major effects. And obviously, like, us coming from the Jonas Brothers concert, where we were just talking last night about like how heavy it must be to perform when you're going through a divorce, then for us to think about like how heavy it is to perform as children when your parents
Mhm.
are going through a divorce. And so we had this like big weekend of
Processing.
processing and just
Yeah.
like really thinking about the effects of this on us and like what we want to carry forward. And we were really blessed that the location of the retreat was in
Oh,
St. Augustine. And
beautiful.
so we got to go to the chapel of Our Lady of Leche and pray. And it was so stunning
Mhm.
and just an incredible place to like work through a lot of stuff. And as Chenele said, we did a lot of the private prayer time as a community. Like me, Juliana, and Chenele would walk around and process and do kind of our own mini small group, which was really amazing. And so if it's something you're considering doing, just know that like there is power in bringing your friends along and
Mhm.
trying to like dig deeper because you also know them and you know where they might need to like dig a little deeper. And then for me, it was really special to have my sister there
Mm.
and for us to kind of share our different experiences of our parents' divorce. And it's so wild how different children process depending on their age. Really fascinating. And so we already talked, and we're like, we need to keep doing stuff like this. We need to keep like digging deeper. And so I think there's a lot of beauty in processing alongside your siblings if they're
Oh,
willing.
yes. And it was so cool too because I mean you guys were the only siblings there,
Hmm.
and we were some of the youngest people there.
Hmm.
But it was just so cool because like Jasmine was able to offer a lot of her insight as like a mental health professional
Hmm.
and adult child of divorce and
Hmm.
a sibling of another adult child of divorce. So it was just cool
Yeah.
how the Lord really worked through a lot of, your life experiences. And like you were
Hmm.
saying earlier, I think one of the coolest things was there were so many adults from different stages of life
Hmm.
and hearing their contributions of like, oh, I have adult children or teenage children,
Yes.
and I've been married for 20 years, and I, just didn't realize how my parents' divorce affected me as a parent
Yeah.
or as a spouse. And it was like, wow. And there were beautiful examples. And it
Hmm.
was just like so cool to be a part of people's vulnerability because you like are in this small group and we're all just sharing,
Hmm.
and then we're answering questions and we're offering advice and we're hearing advice, and the retreat team is awesome and so flexible and understanding and gentle. And it was just like
Yeah.
such a
So true.
cool experience for everyone to just come to their own conclusions.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, it was cool because all of us are like high-fiving each other and we're like, wow,
Yeah.
okay, like this is no longer something where I'm like an adult child of divorce and my life feels like I can't move
Feels like
through
icky.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I
Hmm.
can move through this not by myself. Like there's other people that have experienced this in different capacities, but
Yes.
have experienced this, can pray for me, I can text them, I can
Hmm.
be in touch with them, and it was just so nice. Like I befriended a woman that was like twice my age
Yeah.
who was so nice.
Yeah.
And
It's
and
amazing.
it's just like that sense of community was super cool.
Hmm.
And I thought it was great.
Yeah. Going off of that, I think something really powerful was the fact that there were many people attending the retreat who were adult children of divorce that were married and
Mhm.
nobody had gone through a divorce, which
Yes.
statistically is like pretty wild.
Yes.
And some of them shared that like their spouse also was an adult child of divorce and they were still together. And so when you look at culture and kind of like the doom and gloom, like I thought a lot growing up, like, well, there's really no point in getting married because statistically it's like a pretty high chance that I'll get divorced. What are the odds that I would be happy? And you kind of long to see relationships thrive because you're like, how does this even work? And so seeing that was so hopeful and beautiful.
Mm.
Like, here's a community of people that really want to figure out how to like move on with their lives after carrying like the weight of their parents' divorce, but then they're also in their own marriages and they're healthy and
And you're
being
like,
able to model that
wow,
for
I
their
had
children.
no idea that you can like be in a relationship that's not like toxic. You're not doomed, or
Yeah.
you're not doomed for your own children to like hate you because they go through carry the same emotional burdens
Mm-hmm.
as you. It was
Yeah,
really
it was beautiful.
awesome. And so, I mean, and there's like so much to say.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think just for anyone listening, if you have a parent that's gone through divorce, separation, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it can feel really just like hard as an
Yeah.
adult to not let that, because there was a point where we got the opportunity to grieve a lot of our
Mm-hmm.
childhood that we might not have had, a lot of the ways that we were raised that we wish we might have been raised differently.
Mm-hmm.
We wish we might not have been a parent to our parents in some scenarios. And so if that was you and you had that situation, just know that like it's cool to grieve that, and
Yeah.
it's cool to
And that
like,
there's places you can.
and there's places that you can do
Mhm.
that productively. And it was just like such a cool experience, and
It was so cool.
something for me that I'll share exclusively with the listeners of Anti-Depressing. This is
Ooh.
hot news.
I'm really
tea,
interested.
Hot tea.
I
Well,
hope you're gonna share what I hope you're gonna share.
well, so we were in our like small group. We were in our small group, so me, Jasmine, and Juliana walking around, and they have like a awesome workbook that you use the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
that has like notes about the talks and then journal prompts and all that fun stuff. And Jasmine asked me, I forgot what question it was.
I think it said something like, do you have like worries, fears about starting a family, like marriage and having children based on your parents' divorce?
Exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And I have notoriously sent memes to my own sisters and my mom that are like, it's like some lady laughing, and it's like knowing that you're ending a generational curse by like not having another generation. Like I will actively tell people that I want no part in being married or having children or anything. And I love kids. I'm not one of those people, when they like want no part of it and then they are mean to kids or they don't like anyone else that's married. Like I love my married friends. I love married people. I think it's beautification. I love children.
She loves it for us.
Yes. And I'm like, I love it for everybody else. Yeah. And so I'm answering this question, and I was like, oh, well, no, I don't think that's me, because I feel like my life is really full, which I do, because I have beautiful babies in my life and whatever. And then I was like, and we're walking around, and I'm like, well, and also like, I just don't really want children to go through the same thing that I did if I were to get a divorce. Like, I just don't want children to suffer like that. So it's just not worth it to me. And Jasmine was like, well, that kind of seems like
the same thing.
Oops. Yeah. And so literally, you guys, like crazy. And this is exclusive, but like so crazy. I had just never considered that
it was
related. I just always was like, I mean, because I do feel like my life is really good. And I also feel like there has been this residual kind of discomfort of like, I just wouldn't want other children to suffer. Even the potentiality is too much for me. But it was such a beautiful experience to like hear from all these other adults that are married and have children that are like, oh, totally get it. Like, because I'll even talk to Jasmine all the time and Steven, and I'm like, well, how do you know? Like, isn't it scary? And they're wonderful. And I think just that addition of hearing other adults be like,
especially
okay,
the adults that had adult children were like, oh yeah, we've like done it. I think that was
I was
really
like,
cool.
wow, okay. And your kids don't like really not like you, or or it's like, oh, and you're married and your husband like supported you in going on this, and he wasn't like, he didn't get upset with you, and it wasn't this like weird tension of you still mourning your parents' divorce, but you're like in your 50s. And they were like, no, because our spouses
loves me.
And even like, and Jasmine and Juliana were like so helpful in even sharing their own perspectives and thoughts on marriage and children. So anyway, big moment for me.
Huge moment
of just being able to be like, okay, those two things are connected, which is cool to know.
Yeah.
And just feeling more of a piece of like, okay, it's not like a doom and gloom scenario. It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah. And there are other people that are like, oh, no. Like, you're fine. And Granted,
so
like none
beautiful.
of us know what's going to happen any time ever,
True.
but it was just so cool to be like, oh, well, my gosh, like,
Mhm.
okay, things might be okay. What if things are okay?
What if things turn out fine?
And that's the question. So,
I
you
love
know,
it.
yeah, so
That
it
was
was
a
huge.
huge moment for you.
Yeah, so it was huge. And I was so happy to spend it with, and that's why I mentioned earlier, like if I didn't go with two of my like dear friends, I just don't know if it would have been the same because I don't know if I
Yeah.
would have processed that
Came to
in
that
the
conclusion.
same way because I probably just would have been like on my phone or something, like distracting myself from how
Yeah.
sad I felt. So
Mhm.
it was awesome.
That's fair. We were there to make you continue to feel sad.
There it is. So Life Giving Wounds, y'all. They're
so
a
good.
wonderful ministry and would recommend. They were like all over the country. So
Absolutely. It's amazing. One of the big things that I think I'm carrying with me from both the retreat and the concert
Ooh.
was something in the retreat that Dan had said was like, it's never too late to have a happy childhood.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I love that. And he was talking about like the importance of like play and just like feeling joy and kind of reclaiming this childhood sense of like wonder and love of life. And I so strongly felt that when we were at the concert, like
Yes.
just all of these young women who were like, I don't even care if I like look silly or I look like I did when I was 13 or 12. Like, I'm just going to do this. And there was this one girl that got called out because she had a sign and either Nick or Joe was talking to her and she shared that like her boyfriend of 5 years, she had told him like, oh, I love the Jonas Brothers. Like, I really like them. And then when they announced they were going on tour, she was like, oh my gosh, I need to go. And he broke up with her because he was like, I didn't realize you were like really into it. And he broke up with her after 5 years. And so she's at this concert and she's like, I just am not going to apologize for like what I like. And that like hit me. I was like, that is crazy that people make you feel bad for feeling joy and for doing things that help you reconnect with your inner child. And that is so wild because for us, being back at the concert and like screaming the lyrics that like 12-year-old us used to scream, wondering like, will I ever feel good and will I ever like feel confident in
Will
myself?
I ever
will
be
I ever
loved
find
like
someone
this?
who loves me? Like,
meanwhile,
like
Jasmine's
Nick
husband's
could,
like, how was the concert? What like what
was
did
like,
you guys
tell me
do?
what they played. Send me a
Take
video of Waffle House. His favorite Jonas Brothers song.
Full circle.
And so yeah, I think it was just really amazing to reconnect with our inner child in that way. And it reminded me, we were talking about this interview with Taylor Swift, who was like, the worst kind of person in the world is someone who makes you feel bad about being happy about something. And it is like, if there is someone who wants to like play Pokemon or like collect something or build Legos or go to a Jonas Brothers concert or like Taylor Swift, like,
or buy quirky art.
That's so true. This is speaking to me about Chenele, who wants to collect weird figurines. Like, let them live. Like, let us live, because there's so many hard things in the world that if there are things people find joy in, especially things where they're reconnecting with a part of them that from their childhood they felt like didn't get to fully like live it out, or if they're just trying to reconnect with that part of themselves that had that childlike innocence and childlike faith, like, let them live. Just let us do it.
All right, babe.
Let us reconnect with our inner child.
Go to the
concert. It's not going to hurt you.
Yeah. While we were there, we were like, you know what? We're kind of hungry. I think we bought like chicken tenders and fries, and I was like, want to share a pizza? And then we got some drinks and we were like, just whatever. Like, yeah. And then the night of, we were like, the first night of the retreat, so fun in beautiful St. Augustine. We were like, let's go downtown. And we just bought a crepe. We walked around. We laughed. We ran. We got back in the car because we were tired and old. And it was just like so fun. And it's like just living in the way and having that time to process on the Life Giving Wounds retreat of like, there were so many times that a lot of us have had to be parents to ourselves and parents to our own parents, right? In many ways, our parents like haven't shown up for us because maybe they were preoccupied with their own relationship, which, you know, in some ways is fair because you have to like concern yourself with the relationship with your partner. But in some ways, it is a loss for a lot of adults to have to reflect on ways that you had to validate your parents in ways that you weren't responsible for and still aren't. And so having that opportunity to, I don't know, not live for yourself, but like do what you like, you know, like discover what you like and do it and have fun and be
Absolutely.
silly and not be like, no one's mad at you. You're not worrying that like something else is happening that you had to be concerned about. It's just like you're
Absolutely.
just having fun and being silly and whatever. It was just like a
It's amazing.
perfect combo, you know?
Absolutely. I
For
love it.
sure. For sure.
Reconnect with your inner child. Listen to the music you want to.
Do something you love.
Just heal.
Who cares,
The world
man?
is healing. We're healing. The world is healing.
Yeah. And by who cares,
Life
I
is
mean
good.
like God cares. God
Yeah.
cares. God
But like,
cares.
don't let somebody
but
else
don't let
control
somebody
how you
else-
function.
There it is. You know, do
That's
something
it. It's
fun.
Good news of the gospel.
Run in a
today.
field, you know, for all those people that are like, it's so silly. Like run in a field,
Just be
scream
silly.
and scream, read a
Mhm.
book, listen to music, like go to that concert for that band that you listened to in like 10th grade. Whatever, man.
Reconnect.
Reconnect.
What a gift.
And, you know, go on some dates, have fun. Don't be afraid.
That's so true.
Talk to your friends about it.
Yeah.
You know, be
Have
fun.
fun.
Have fun. Have
I
fun.
like this ending.
Have fun. Be virtuous. Have
Have
fun.
fun.
Have fun and just be silly and just be a person because you deserve that.
You deserve it. The world is depressing, but we are not. Much love, you guys. Bye.
Peace and love. Love y'all. Bye.